Welcome to Behind the Law with Justin Clark, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
Welcome back. The name of the show is Behind the Law, featuring Justin Clark of Gregory & Clark, attorneys at law, right here in Florida, actually in the Longwood area of Orlando. And we're taking your calls right now at 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. And we have Steve on the line.
Before we go to Steve, Rob,
Okay.
Can you tell me what time it is? Let me see this. I want everyone at home to see this. This guy is so proud of this watch, by the way. I know if you're listening on radio, you cannot see the watch, but I just want to know what time it is. Rob walks around every day now. He's like, "Hey, do you know what time it is?"
Yeah.
Just so he can show off his new watch. He's so proud of this watch. I've never met anyone more proud of a watch.
That was number 77 in the collection.
All right, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, my dad and I own a piece of property here in Orlando. We're both on the title, and it's paid for.
Right.
He's 91 years old, and he's found a really nice retirement home he wants to go that's state-supported, located in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Okay.
He wants to take his name off the title, put it in my name only. Can the state of Virginia come get me if it's only 1 or 2 years?
Get you for what? I don't understand. What could they get you for? I think it's a great idea. First of all, your dad's obviously getting up there in years. So if something were bad to happen to him and the property's in both your names, it's going to have to go through the probate or you got to set it up where you deal with that. However, if he just transfers the title of the property to you now, you can avoid all that.
It was his understanding that anything done like that within 5 years, the state could come get the house to help pay for his stay at the home.
I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is that he's going to be available to government programs, Medicare, and whatever.
Okay.
So that's absolutely correct. And there is going to be a look-back period there. So you really need to talk to an elder attorney about that because you certainly do not want to defraud the government. First thing I learned, don't defraud the government.
No.
So you need to look into that because maybe it will change some sort of benefit that he's available or that's available for him. You got to talk to an elder lawyer about that, maybe even someone in Virginia.
All right, very good. Bob in Orlando, how can we help you?
Yeah, good morning. Yes, my question is about 5 months behind, almost 6 months behind on my mortgage. I am attempting to pay each month. I've just been behind. We had a couple deaths in the family and so forth, and we make a good income, about $5,400 a month jointly. And after our expenses, it's we're trying to catch up on the mortgage. The question is, I made a payment the other day. They weren't going to take it over the phone. They finally took it over the phone, and they started my modification again for the third time. The first 2 times, we didn't make enough, and then the next time it says we made too much.
Yeah.
Now we make the same amount for the last 6 years. And now I got a letter saying on 3/15 that they're going to foreclose on my home.
Shocker. I mean, hey, Bob, let me tell you something. Don't feel lucky, bro. They treat everyone the same way. You're not like the lucky one. Rob, every single person that comes in my office has the same story. Hey, man, Justin, I called Bank of America, and they said, no, it's cool, no big deal, we'll do a modification for you. A year later, they come in my office either homicidal or suicidal. It becomes a part-time job for people doing a modification. A part-time job that you're not paid for, and it sucks. It's the worst part-time job you could possibly have because not only you're not getting paid, you want to you want to pull your hair out because you call Bank of America and you talk to John at Bank of America. And John's like, he's a nice guy, this John. Okay, Mr. Smith, go ahead and send me your paperwork and we'll be right on this. You call back the next day and say, hey, John, did you get my paperwork? First of all, John doesn't work there anymore. Oh. John's long gone. And they've never heard of you, and there's no record of you ever calling and swear on my life we didn't get your paperwork. And it's a process that is horrendous. You have to know what you're doing. To do a modification, it's like getting a mortgage. You have to almost underwrite the file to try to get the lowest interest rate you can get. So when people come into my office, they give me all their financials. I underwrite the file like I'm trying to get them a new mortgage at 2%. Loan modifications can be fantastic. They can go all the way down to 2%. If someone's paying 7% and their payment's $1,500, if they drop it to 2%, their payment's literally going to be like $700. I mean, it's a huge life-changing thing. Doing it yourself is really, really, really awful, and they're going to lie to you. They're going to lose your paperwork, and then they're going to deny you, and you're going to get the letter that says, oh, you're denied. Why am I denied? Well, you didn't send the paperwork. Dude, I sent you the paperwork 57 times. 57 times! Ask John, your employee, John. John doesn't work here anymore. it's the story of my life. I mean, it really, really is. It's a really difficult process, and I feel your pain, bro.
All right, get a hold of him at the office at
321-282-1055. Gregory-Clark.com.
And we keep running into this dual tracking, too, that's been raising its head on this show for 2 years. And the dual tracking is pretty much where John says, go ahead, we'll take care of it. Lower your payments, just do it for 10 months, and then we'll readdress it.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, your credit's ruining that 10 months, and they foreclose because the dual tracking means foreclosure doesn't talk to modification, modification doesn't talk to foreclosure. And some of the banks here in Central Florida, some of them are worse than others.
I got to tell you a quick story, by the way, and it just came to mind. I go to court the other day in Seminole County. Judge Rudisil, a very nice guy. We like Judge very much. We talked to the bank's attorney prior to going to court. And bank's attorney says, okay, guys, we agree to this order. What we're going to do is we're not going to issue certificate of title. We're going to hold on to it and allow your client to do a modification. We show up in court. I can't make this up, Rob. We show up in court, and another law firm appears for the bank and says, "Bank or judge, that other law firm had no authority whatsoever."
Oh, no.
And so we call the other law firm in court and say, "Hey, other law firm, do you still agree to the order?" They say, "Yes, of course we do. Our client said you can absolutely enter the order." I'm like, do you understand that there's another law firm sitting here saying that they don't agree? And judge is like, "Well, just get out of here. Everyone get out." Because
no.
Not only do they not communicate between loan modification department and legal department, now they're hiring two different law firms, saying two complete. It's unbelievable.
It's a shambles.
Welcome to my life. That's
It's
it.
a shambles.
I'll shut up.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
I'll have clients come in my office and say, "Hey, Justin, I'm talking to the bank, and the bank said, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the foreclosure papers you got. We're working with you, man." And they will come into my office, and I'll pull up the docket on the internet. And I'm like, do you understand that your house is going to be auctioned off next week?
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
And I deal with this credit issue, Rob, all the time. People come in and say, "Damn, man, I've had good credit my whole life." I'm like, well, yeah, you have, and that's really good. I mean, it's really good you have good credit. However, you have like no money in the bank whatsoever because you've been your whole life you've been trying to get this credit. Why? Because you have no money. You can't buy anything anyway. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you're going to go buy a new car. We have good credit, but you have no money, so we're not going to give you the car anyway. And a lot of times you have to make financial decisions that will affect your credit. And you know, maybe you keep your credit good, maybe you don't. But that's a huge issue that I deal with all the time. Credit, it's a business decision, really. Mm-hmm. But do you understand what I'm saying? Where people like live their whole lives, they're 80 years old, they have $2 in the bank, but they're paying for their house $3,000 a month, and they're getting $2,000 in Social Security. They don't want to affect their credit. I'm like,
you got to do something.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's got to be a way out. Lisa in Lakeland, how can we help you?
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I have just completed a 3-month and 90-day trial period for remodification, and when I read the paperwork, I thought that I understood it to be that if I completed that successfully, it would be permanently modified. But now I think that I'm hearing that didn't necessarily stop the foreclosure process. And so number one question is, how do I make sure that the financial institution and whoever would be foreclosing are on the same page, number one? And number two, if I also have been recently divorced, if I, because of the amount of debt that we owe, have to file a foreclosure, a bankruptcy, how do I do that and keep my house? Because I still have a child at home.
All right, I don't have a pen in front of me, so I'm going to have to address each question individually, and I might forget something. The first question is, how do I know that the bank's not going to screw me over? Is essentially, I don't know if you believe in Jesus or Buddha or Allah or whatever. I would just get on your knees right now and say, praise be to Allah, or whatever you want to do, because they don't talk. I mean, they really do not talk. And I see this all the time, Rob. I'll have clients come in my office and say, hey, Justin, I'm talking to the bank, and the bank said, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the foreclosure papers you got. We're working with you, man. And they will come into my office, and I'll pull up the docket on the internet, and I'm like, do you understand that your house is going to be auctioned off next week? Because the bank will talk to people like Lisa and say, hey, Lisa, it's cool. I mean, as long as you're in our program, don't worry about it. I'm like, Lisa, do you understand that you are in foreclosure? Your house is going to be auctioned next week. And I see this all the time. First thing is first, you probably need to talk to a lawyer or go see someone like me. And I would never charge Lisa to come in my office ever and sit down. I'm like, Lisa, here's what we got to do. Here's the process. And a lot of times I can even guide people in the right direction without them even have to hire me or pay me. But it's really scary and shocking that her situation happens thousands of times each and every day in this county.
Lisa, you better get somebody on your side that knows how to run the gamut. All right, when we come back, more of your calls at 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. Viewers at home on Channel 27, remember, we do take your calls Sundays between 12 and 1 at 407-297-9696, or you can call toll-free at 855-297-9696. That's Sunday from 12 until 1. You're watching WRDQ TV 27, and you're listening on News Talk 96.5 WDBO.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
I have so many people who come in my office, Rob. It's a husband and wife, and I can predict it right away. I know you guys are divorced, right? Or you're going through a divorce. I can just see it on their face. They're like, yeah, but we're really friendly. Like, it was really a pretty good divorce. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
We are back, and this is Behind the Law featuring attorney Justin Clark of Gregory & Clark Attorneys at Law out in Longwood. We're taking your calls right now at 407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. Nobody on the line right now. Do you think
we got to get back to Lisa, by the way,
okay.
Actually.
Lisa, it just sounds like you need to get somebody in your camp on this one because as Justin and I have talked many times on this show, this isn't something you want to try alone because the bank is not going to really talk to you.
Lisa, go ahead. What did I miss? Ask the rest of your question.
Okay. Well, I was going to say the second part to that first question would be is I would not begin to know how to find out if my house was even going up for auction. I haven't received any notification, but my ex is telling me that it's in foreclosure as opposed to him signing it over like the court ordered. See, and the court is a whole separate entity, separate, so it's all very confusing. So I agree with you. Number one, I need to find somebody. I'd like to get your guys' information, but the other part of it is that I have a great deal of medical debt. And so, if I'm forced to go with bankruptcy, knowing a little bit that, there's a first mortgage, a second mortgage, and then medical debt.
Right.
I'm on disability, so
I could probably spend the next hour and a half with you. I could probably spend the next hour and a half with you because you brought up a ton of different points here. First of all, if you have a lot of medical debt, let's make no mistake, a bankruptcy wipes out medical debt. It does. Also, a bankruptcy would wipe out your second mortgage, assuming your first mortgage is underwater. However, it sounds like your husband might also be on the note. If he signed the note as well, you're not going to be able to strip that second mortgage unless he files bankruptcy with you. Do you want to keep the house? I mean, is your goal to keep this house or you want to get rid of it?
Well, yeah, no, because the first mortgage owes so little. It's under $30,000. There's only 4 years left on it.
And you want to keep the house?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a kid in high school, so I think that would be the best option.
Yeah, I appreciate that, too. I'm sure your kid does as well. Is your husband on the title? People don't understand that. So when you go buying a house with your significant other, you can have, there are two different things. One is you're on the title, meaning you own the house with this significant other, and the other is you're on the note. Did the husband promise to pay the mortgage, or is he just on the title? Do you know?
No, we both signed both when we purchased it. So
your husband is totally on the hook. And then people come in my office all the time and say, well, Justin, I got divorced. And the divorce decree says he's responsible for the house. I'm like, I don't care what the divorce decree says. You signed the note. You're still responsible. The judge can't make you not be responsible anymore. You know what I mean? And because we're going through this phase in history, really, this huge recession and this housing bust, it's never happened before. We've had to go through this where houses have gone down 50% in value. So when people get divorced now, they can't really divorce from each other because they're still on the hook together for these properties. And I have so many people who come in my office, Rob. It's a husband and wife, and I can predict it right away. I know you guys are divorced, right? Or you're going through a divorce. I can just see it on their face. They're like, yeah, but we're really friendly. Like, it was really a pretty good divorce. I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well. Every time they say, it was a really good divorce, we still like each other. Like, they're about to have a huge fight. And they're having a huge fight about the house. Always about the house. Well, you didn't pay. I paid that. That was from my inheritance. So the biggest warning sign ever, when someone comes in my office, we're going through a divorce. But it's a very friendly divorce. I'm like, oh, God. Here we go. Because it's never friendly like that. The people who come in are like, listen, I'm going to be honest with you, Justin. We hate each other. I want to kill her. She wants to kill me. I'm like, this is going to go pretty well. Because they already know they hate each other. When they come in and say we really like each other, I say, oh, here we go. I call my secretary. I'm like, cancel my appointments for the next hour and a half.
Lisa, do you get along with the ex?
No.
I get along with him. He doesn't get along with me.
Oh, I know the feeling.
Oh.
Right. That's like you, Rob. Let's talk about Rob Newton for a
No,
second.
it's not. Anyway. But what didn't you mention in your phone call that he was ordered to sign over the house to you? But that still, as Justin said, doesn't do anything.
Doesn't
to the
matter.
Note.
Yeah, that's correct. The order says that he's ordered to sign it over, and that annually I must make an attempt to refinance the mortgage and have it in my name to exclude him from it and any of its affiliated debt.
Good luck. You know, and it's just a problem with divorces right now is judges can make you try to refinance, but no bank's going to refinance you unless you can do some sort of HARP program. I mean, if you're underwater, you're underwater, and you're both responsible, and he's just going to have to deal with it.
Ask your question live. Tune into FM 96.5 WDBO Sundays at noon and ask Justin your question.
Where you can strip a second lien, whether it's HOA, second mortgage, a window loan, anything like that. You can strip a second mortgage by doing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
Stay tuned. Justin Clark will be right back with more Behind the Law. Welcome back to Behind the Law, the show that takes you behind the law and answers your toughest legal questions.
407-297-9696 or 855-297-9696. Brevard County, Andrea, how can we help you?
I have a home here that I've had for 14 years. I owe $46 on it. I have an equity line with Bank of America. I think it's at about $6,000 I owe on that. And I just recently signed a contract with a window company, and I have a consumer loan, and it's at 8%. I don't think I'm very happy with that. And I'm looking to possibly do a refi, whether Bank of America will work with me or not. I don't know, to reduce.
What is your house worth? I don't mean to cut you off, Andrea. What's your house worth?
No, that's fine. Well, I'm not actually sure. If you go with the county, would they say
All right,
it's
go ahead.
like 43?
All right,
I'm
so
not really upside down.
you have a lot of options, actually. It sounds like your house is worth about what you owe on your first mortgage. I don't understand this whole window loan thing either. Did you understand that, Rob?
Did they make you take out a loan against the house for that window work they were doing?
No.
Okay, so you have a few options. One, it sounds like you want to stay in your house. One option, and only because we live here in Florida, is you can do a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy will strip that second mortgage. This only started happening back in May of this past year, where you can strip a second lien, whether it's HOA, second mortgage, a window loan, anything like that. You can strip a second mortgage by doing a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. And always in the past, you could only do it with a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, which is the more complicated bankruptcy, where you pay for the next 3 to 5 years, every single month to the Chapter 13 trustee, your entire paycheck, basically. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy is a very, very simple, quick process where you just get rid of everything you owe. And only now and only in this circuit can a Chapter 7 bankruptcy divest you of any second mortgage, whether it's an HOA, a window loan, or any sort of like equity line. Totally goes away. So that's an option you might want to consider as well.
You can talk to Justin at
321-282-10 1055, gregory-clark.com. And if you just a word of warning, if you come in my office next week and you say, Justin, I've seen your commercials a lot lately on TV. You look a lot better in person. I'm not going to be happy with you. I'm over it.
Don't say that.
I'm over it, man. Do I look that fat? Have you seen this TV show yet? Have you watched this on TV yet?
I have. I'm usually working.
Oh, that's right.
Sorry. No.
I'm going to ask you
They
guys.
won't send me a copy.
Do I look that fat on TV? Is that what it is? What do you think, Laurel? No? Laurel's
look
lying.
good.
Laurel wants to keep her job.
It's like reality TV. I think you look good.
Thanks, bro.
Really do. All right. If during the week you want to get a hold of Justin now, not only on foreclosures, modifications, and all things monetary, but he also does a great deal of work and has some very, very good contacts when it comes to the bullying and it comes to problems like that. And that raised its ugly head on some school campuses just in this last week again. So you can talk to Justin about it, whichever side of that you're on.
I was talking to my good friend Mark Marrow. You might know him
Yeah.
as Johnny B. Bad last night. And the school bullying, and I finally figured out last night, as a business, it's really a bad business for me. But it is so near and dear to my heart. I want to lose money. I love supporting guys like Mark Marrow, and it's a really, really big issue out there.
And he does talk to a lot of schools, groups, and organizations. And if you call Justin, you can get a contact there. And he'll come and talk to a school about this whole bullying situation. But if it gets legal, you got a man on your side. Thank you all so very much for joining us today on News Talk 96.5 and WRDQ TV 27. We'll do it again next week. Right here, same time, same place.
Thank you for watching Behind the Law with Justin Clark. Be sure to join us again next week as Justin takes you behind the law and answers your legal questions.